Hello, welcome to Do It Yourself with Wayne. Today we're in here in our shower and we've had a problem with our Delta single handle faucet for our shower. We've had trouble with it leaking. And today we're going to show you what to do to fix that. There's different options. And in our case, we fixed it without spending any money. We'll show you different options. Some cost you money, some don't. But if you watch to the end, we'll show you how you might be able to fix this for free if it's leaking. But anyway, we fixed this about 2 days ago. It hasn't dripped since then. We're going to show you what we did. Now before you start on this, the first thing you do is turn your water off to this. Most showers won't have independent water valves. You may have to turn off the water for your entire house. But make sure your water is off. Open a valve somewhere else and let the pressure bleed off, and then when you open this you may still get some dripping from your shower head, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, we didn't get any dripping, but there's the little hole where the set screw is at. I'm going to put my Allen wrench in there. I know I got the right one. There it is. Loosen it up a bit. Okay, here we go. A turn or two. You don't have to take that set screw out. Just loosen it up and this handle will pull straight off. And just set it down out of your way. Now this cover here will slide off. Give it a little twist maybe, it'll come straight off. Set that down out of your way. Now this right here, this ring, you got to unscrew it. You may be able, now this one we just had it off a couple days ago, so I was able to do it with my hand, but you may need a pair of pliers, and this is actually the ones that I used, like this, because when we first did that it was too tight to loosen by hand. But if you use your pliers, just be careful that you don't mash it too tight that you damage it and get it out of round. You just want to get it where you can unscrew it. You take it off. Just take that off, set it down out of your way, and this gray part will slide out. Okay, now I wiggled this and wiggled this and wiggled this, and it loosened up some, but there it's coming out. I'm still getting some water out of it, but remember the house water, or the water to the house is turned off, so we're going to get some water out of the pipes, but it's not much. And there, we'll let it come on out. This is the part that you take out. Alright, now we're going to change the camera angle. We're going to talk about this, because this is where your problem is at. Now this is the part that I just removed, and like I said, this is the part that's giving you trouble, that's making your faucet, your shower head leak. And you can go to like the plumbing supply store, most hardware stores, your big box hardware stores, and you can buy this whole thing if you want to. It's not very cheap. It's probably going to get you somewhere between $30 and $40, maybe $45, depending on where you go. But you can buy just this whole cartridge and replace the whole thing. That'll fix it. If you want to save some money, you can try other things. Now this part down here that looks like a guy and his legs, that part will unscrew from the top part. And to do that, it's just a quarter turn. You just hold the top, the bottom, and you twist it, and it'll come out. Now this part's fine. You don't need to do anything to this part. Maybe inspect it. If you see anything inside, any dirt or any crud, you may want to clean it, but typically you don't do anything to that. Now this part is actually where your problem is at. These two little washers right here, one's for hot and one's for cold, they'll come out. And there's little springs behind them. If you can see that, the little rubber washer and the little spring. That washer is what's letting the water get through. So this part's fine, this part is fine. These are where your problems are at. Now look at your washers, and you can buy just these washers and the springs. Much less expensive than replacing the whole cartridge. And they're easy to replace. You can get the kit with just these washers and these two springs, just those 4 little parts. Now another thing you can do is what we did. When I took these out, I inspected these washers, and the rubber is if you look at it, this side here is kind of thin. This up here is kind of thick. The thick edge is the one that actually does the sealing, to seal off the water. I looked at that real close. There's no pits, there's no gouges or anything. They're still somewhat flexible if you mash on them. So I felt like they were in good shape. It's probably just the springs have gotten weak over time. So what I did, I took a pair of pliers, and if you see, this is a very pointy set of needle nose pliers, but you could use other tools. But I went between the middle of the spring and spread the spring out some. Now when I got through, if I set the two springs side by side like that, the one that I had just spread was just maybe not even quite 1/8 of an inch taller than the one I didn't do. So I didn't spread it much. You don't want to spread these springs much, because the more you spread them, the weaker they will get, and you'll have more trouble with them over time. But I stretched the springs just a little bit, and I did both of them, so they're the same height now. But they are spread out just a little bit more than they were when I took them out originally. Then I put the two springs back inside. Little washers in there. Here again, the edge that's real thin goes in first. The end that's flat is the top, goes like that. And they just sit in there. They don't fit real tight. They're a little bit loose in there. You might think that's wrong, but that's the way they go. They're a little bit loose fitting. But when you put it in here, they get tight. The spring pressure against that is what seals them off. And now this thing goes in here like so, push and twist, and it's back together. Now you may think, well, and I wondered about this, does it go this way or does it go this way? It doesn't matter. Both ways are the same. Both sides of this are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter if you put it in this way or if you turn it over and push it in that way. Either way is the same. Now, you just put this back in your handle in your shower, put it back together like you found it, test it out, and there's a good chance that if you went the route that we did of stretching the springs just a little bit, you're going to fix your drip without spending any money. So let's put it back together and try it out. Now we're ready to put our cartridge back in, and if you have a new cartridge, it just goes in. I'll show you orientation in a moment, but if you replace the parts in your old cartridge, or if you adjusted the springs like I did, if you're using your old cartridge again, pay close attention to these O-rings, this big one here and these two little ones. Check and make sure they don't have any nicks or gouges, make sure they're not broken, make sure they feel good. If they have damage of some sort, they're likely to leak on you. So look at your O-rings, make sure they look good, and ours do in this case. So now we're ready to reinstall this, and orientation matters. On the side of your cartridge, and I'll put a picture of this up in the corner because you can't see it here, there's a large letter H right there. That's for hot. Typically hot's on the left, cold's on the right. So it goes in this way because our letter H is right here. Now if you're one of those people that, and there are a few people that their plumbing was done backwards to start with, and you had, when you had your handle stuck out here, you had off, and you had hot, and then cold. If you wanted to reverse that, you just do this number, and then you'll have your off, cold, hot like it should be. But typically, hot's to the left, so your letter H to the left goes in this way. Now you got little points here that go in that little groove slot, and so you just line those up and push it in. Might take a little bit of force, but it should slide in like that. Next thing you do is reattach your ring. Just put it in there, screw it in. Tighten this as tight as you can by hand. If you want to use some pliers and tighten it up a little bit more, you can do that. But just be careful you don't over tighten it, because you can damage things like that. Now this, as I mentioned earlier, is just a trim ring. It just slides straight on, just like that. And that's all there is to that part. Then you put your handle on, check the orientation of the little thing in there, and well, if I get it turned right, so it's that way, like that. Turn it up, I just tighten the set screw. Like I said before, you don't take that set screw out, you just loosen it some. And then the handle works nice and smooth, just like it should. So there we go. Everything put back together. Turn that on. Add a little bit of air in the lines, that goes out. Now we've got water flowing. We turn it off. Now our shower head always drips a little bit when we first turn it off, so what you're seeing right now is normal. But we fixed this 2-3 days ago, and you know, after the shower head drains good, it doesn't drip anymore. So if you find this useful, please click like and share it with your friends. And if you would subscribe to our channel, it would make it a lot easier for you to find our other videos for DIY things around the house. And we'd just like to say thank you for visiting Do It Yourself with Wayne, and we hope you have a great day.